Coming up next on the Union Label will be a conversation with Frrancis Willey, the 2009 W.C. Young Award winner. Welcome back to the program, and congratulations on winning the W.C. Young Award.
Thank you, Barry.
How does that make you feel to be in some pretty good company by winning that award?
Well, I feel I'm very grateful, and I feel like there's others that deserved it a lot more than I did, but evidently they thought I deserved it, and I appreciate it, and I'll never forget this honor as long as I live. And I appreciate Mrs. Young carrying this on like she has, and so faithful, being there with us the night of our awards. And I want to give her a big thanks for what she's done for us. And he was a true union member.
In fact, he won the first award back.
Yeah.
Tell us what the union has meant to you.
The union has meant a lot to me. I worked out at the plant when it was carbide at that time, still being built. And that's where my husband worked. And we both worked out there. And it meant a lot to me because without the union there'd been help that we wouldn't have had or wouldn't have gotten at the time when we really needed it. But the union has been there for me from day one, and it still is. And I feel like it always will be. And when my husband passed away, the union stepped right in and took over, and the union is just part of my family.
Now, you belong to the old food handlers union out at the plant.
Yes. We, at that time when the plant was being built, of course there was so many more people out there. And at that time, we were preparing food for around 2,500 people a day. And of course, a lot of the workers would come in and go through the line, and then others would call, and we would have their lunch ready for them. But it was a big chore out there. We fed a lot of people out there, and as the building slowed down, well, ours did too.
Now, your husband was a Pearl Harbor survivor.
Yes, he was. Tell
us about that.
Well, he was on Pearl Harbor when the World War II broke out, and he was, at the time, he was visiting a cousin on Pearl Harbor when the war broke out. And that's the story how Byron got started there, was there when Pearl Harbor broke out. But he was on aircraft carriers during the war and everything. But he was out there when that broke out. And at the time, we were not married at that time, but he was there, and we learned a lot of stories. He'll tell you a lot of stories.
His name was Byron.
Byron. And
you all got married aboard an aircraft carrier.
Yes.
In San Diego.
San Diego, California.
What was the ceremony like?
Well, it was just several of the sailors around the deck, or whatever.
So you were out on the deck, the flight deck?
Flight deck,
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a chaplain from the carrier married us, and we had another couple there. They were going to get married at the same time, and there we were. And we were married in San Diego, California, on flight deck on the USS Saginaw Bay. Yes.
And that was his ship? That
was his ship.
Okay.
Yes.
So now, you were from Illinois.
Yes.
And how did you meet your husband?
Through our mothers.
Okay, so he was from Illinois as well.
He was, and they were friends. He came home on leave, and I was working in a dress shop at the time, and he came up there where I was working, and it was just that way all the rest of the way.
And you all married how long?
How long we were married? 24 years.
Yeah. Now, he was in IBEW Local 816.
Yes.
Electrician. And
yes.
What did he, was he a construction electrician?
No, no, no. He was hired he was working at Carbide at that
Carbide.
time. Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. And he was in the, so this was, you told me, I believe before, you all had never been to Kentucky before you moved down here?
No,
this is,
no, we never had.
Yeah.
And we traveled a lot. As I've told you before, we did travel a lot. And we traveled to Paducah, Kentucky, and that's the way it's been. Yeah. That's the way we landed here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, you have been involved with the Labor Day program for how long now?
Well, since 1997.
How did you get involved in that?
Watching a parade on the Labor Day parade. I was there.
Just a spectator?
Yes, yes. And watching it, and it really was a good parade, and I thought, this is something that I think I'd like to get involved in. So that's how I got involved with the Labor Day, Western Kentucky Labor Day. I got involved that way, and I've been with it ever since.
And of course, the committee, it's strictly voluntary.
Oh, yes.
No one gets paid.
No.
You don't get any government money from the federal, state, or local government.
No, we don't.
It's all donations.
Yes,
volunteers
it is.
And donations.
Yes. Most of our donations come from the locals, union locals, and they are big supporters. We do have some local businesses that contribute, and that's how we put on this parade and celebration. And all of the expenses are paid out of donations, most of it.
Now, traditionally, the parade was a 3-day affair, a weekend affair.
Yes.
Last year, you went back to 1 day, and you're thinking about maybe going back to 3.
We have had one meeting since January. We usually get started early in the year, in January, making our plans for.
I think the ice probably has something to do with it.
It did have a lot to do with it, and some of us have had family tragedies, and it's just put us behind. But we've had one meeting, and that was last month, and we are talking about going back to 3 days because experience is a good teacher. We learn that it's hard to get people out there, your flea market and your food vendors and so forth for 1 day. Entertainment isn't so bad because most entertainment are used to entertaining 1 day and traveling somewhere else. But we are thinking about 3 days, and we will know before long what we're going to do.
So how did you, so you're standing on the street corner watching the parade go by. How did you hook up with the parade people?
Benny, I had a chair.
You were sitting in a chair, okay. Sitting in a chair, watching the parade.
That's fine. That's fine. I had to say that.
I understand, that's great. And so how did you hook up with the people who organized this parade?
Went out there. Went on out to Carson Park. Went out there.
To the political speaking.
That's right. And just ask questions. And of course they were happy to get another volunteer, you know, and that's the way it's been. And I've just enjoyed it. It's been a lot of work, but I've enjoyed it. It's been rewarding work.
And I'm sure that in getting the W.C. Young Award, your work on the parade was a big factor in that.
I don't know. I was just the night they chose me, but there was others.
Right, always is.
And I was at the hall. It was the hall, and they asked me to leave the room. So I, you know, and I don't know. I couldn't hear what was involved, but the way our president Jeff Wiggins said that he was very complimentary of the way I was chosen. But I just have not pursued the thing. I thought.
Well, I would bet that your work on the parade had a lot to do with it.
Well,
and I think too, we probably explain who W.C. Young was. He was a national labor and civil rights leader from Paducah.
He was.
Received the first award. It is the highest honor that the area council bestows. He won the first award. And again, you are in some the people who won this award before are labor leaders in this area. J.R. Gray, who's our labor secretary, is one. Commissioner Robert Coleman is another. Of course, W.C. Young, the first one.
Wayne Chambers.
Wayne Chambers won it last year. So lots of people. Larry Sanderson, I don't want to leave anybody out, but Bill Hack and Bill Sanders and
Hicks.
Lewis Hicks.
He was so involved and missed by so many.
He is. That's true. So that's got to really make you feel good that you'll be up on the wall with those others.
I will. I sure will, and I am proud and I'm thankful, and I still seems like it's a dream, because to be chosen for this award, and I do understand what the award is, and it's an honor. It's an honor, and I just hope that I can live up to this honor. I can keep right on working.
I was going to say, you had told me before that you're not going to rest on your laurels, that you're going to keep on working as long as you can on this parade. I also don't think people who watch that parade realize what goes into it. So if you could just take us through the parade ends. The parade ends on a given year. Then what do you do to start getting ready for the next one?
Well, like I said, we're a little behind on time, but I am ready. And I've been working, and I have sent out a lot of letters.
Well, in a normal year, what do you do? Don't you usually start in January? So the parade ends in September on Labor Day. It's over.
Yes.
You take a few months off, and then you start back up.
Yes, we do. And it usually is January. And it seems like it takes every bit of it. But you're preparing all kinds of letters. First, need to send out your letters for donations, and then you go on. Then you get your letters ready for your parade. You get ready and getting you ready for your parade. You send out applications for your parade. We have a parade coordinator, and again, it will be Howard Dawes, and we get their letters back. And we do designate a day to have it back, but that does not work most of the time, but that's all right. Then we're working to the bands, and this year we have decided, the committee, Western Kentucky, decided we usually give them a check for $150 for each band that participates, plus our OTC group, and then we give out a $500 scholarship for one of the bands. This year we have decided to divide that money and give all the bands plus our OTC a little over $300. I think it comes to $333, where it's all even, and that'll help pay for transportating those kids down there for buses and everything. That we do that, then we've got to contact our food vendors, which I'm trying to do now to see if they would be interested again this year. Your entertainment, I'm doing that, and sometimes it's easy to get and sometimes it isn't. Depends on their schedule. And then I've got to get insurance. Our insurance is expensive. We have to do that. Barry, it's a non-stop job.
I know it is.
And that's a reason we do take off 2 or 3 months. It's and the telephone rings.
Right.
But it's just a continuous job, and we have so few volunteers. It gets smaller each year, and it makes it hard on those that are left trying to do it. It's just a lot of work. Time, really.
So if someone wanted to be a volunteer, they could contact you?
Oh, yes. Yes.
And your number is?
270-554-1627. Anytime. Leave a message if I'm not there, please.
Right, right. Now, you did get to ride in a parade one time.
And I was Grand Marshal.
I believe it was 2005, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, okay. 2005.
So you were the Grand Marshal, and instead of riding in an automobile, you rode in a carriage?
Yes, rode in a carriage, and I had my 2 great-grandsons there, and they did attract a lot of attention, a lot more than I did, which was fine, because there were so many younger ones there, and they recognized David and Connor.
Right, right. And so on parade day, though, you usually don't watch. You usually continue to work on parade day, do you not?
Well, I'm working. We go down there early and begin to line these people up because it's confusing to them. We send them a map. We work one Saturday, 3 of us, going through our applications and lining up spots, and then I send out these letters and give them their spot number, and with a map and everything, we go down there early and start lining these people up, and that is a job.
Oh yeah.
And get them to moving. If we would once get them to moving, we're in pretty good shape. Yes.
Sure.
But really staying and not. I've only watched one parade. I enjoy parades. I love the bands.
Oh, I think everybody does. I really do. It's a terrific asset to the city. And again,
and there's so many. The streets are packed.
they are.
They are packed. We would usually start at 2nd and Broadway and move down to 7th, 17th, and disband.
At that point, right. Typically, how many floats, how many bands, other units are in a parade?
Well, we have 4 bands. That's the school, the high schools here.
Right.
You know,
the 3 county high schools in Paducah, Tillman.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yes. And plus, then we have ROTC, but that is not a band. It's a very active group, and they are so good and so loyal. And we have them. Of course, we have our color guard and our grand marshal, and then we have not decided yet. Haven't picked one yet. And then we begin to get our fire engines in. That is a must. That's first. Because if they're called out, they can't be at the end of the parade.
Right,
they have to be in the
break away.
Yeah, they can't. So they're always number 1.
Right.
And then we just fall in then like with the band and then floats and different ones. That's how we do this, and they march on down.
Well, I've always heard it joked that you try to put the politicians behind the horses.
Yes.
Is that true? Well,
I've heard that, but we try to be nice.
I know you do. I was just kidding. And you've had a lot of politicians to walk in the parade.
Most of them do walk.
Yeah.
Most of them do walk.
And meet the crowd. Yeah.
And of course we hand out 10 plaques for the best float. We don't judge our bands or walkers or any politician. We do not do that. It's floats that we judge, and we hand out 10 plaques. We have 3 judges.
Are they the same every year?
Well, they have been the last 2 years.
Well, let's just mention names of people who helped. Who are the judges in the parade?
All right, Larry Johnson.
Right.
Gladys Morphew.
Right.
And Ken Tyler.
Okay.
Last 2 years. And I have already asked Gladys if she'd be interested, and she said yes. So I've got 2 more. And
1 down, 2 to go.
1 down, 2 to go. But they have never said no to me.
Now, the committee members, do you want to name some of them? And I know you...
Well, of course, we know Jeff Wiggins is our president, and Linda Downing, who is our secretary, and of course, I'm treasurer, and Wayne Wallace, you know Wayne Wallace? He's our vice president.
W.C. Young Award winner.
Yes,
at one time, right?
Yes, at one time. And then we've got, we've just almost lost all of our committee workers.
Well, now the parade, it goes way, way back into the 19th century. The first parade, not long after the first Labor Day parades were held. Then it lasted through World War II, and for reasons I've never been able to determine, the parade stopped after World War II. Then they were resurrected by Glenn Dowdy and others. And you worked with Glenn many years ago.
Several years ago.
And he was a prime mover in this parade.
He was. He devoted so much time, and everything he did seemed to me like was a big success, because some of our biggest Labor Days were Glenn Downey's days.
And for a while, Paducah actually had the official state AFL-CIO Labor Day parade. That's right.
That's right. That's right. Of course, we always had a nice float in for the AFL,
right?
You know.
Right. It's but again, it's gone on, and people look forward to it. It's a big event.
Kids do.
It's kids, especially. Kids of all ages, I should say. Yeah. Now, this year it will be at Carson Park again.
Yes.
And we hope. Where are some of the other places it's been held?
Well, we had it downtown several years ago. We had it downtown.
And the parade reversed.
You reversed your parade. You started 17th and then moved down to 2nd. And sometimes it's a good idea because you've got all your people down there, and you hold those people down there instead of disbanding and not getting them all out at Carson Park. Or that's what I feel. The way I feel.
And then at one time it was in Noble Park too, at least.
Oh yes, at Noble Park, and that's when I first got started with it, Noble Park, and it was so good out there. It was so good, and then the building, Cherry.
The Cherry Center.
Yes, we had that. And a lot of the vendors, flea market people, or arts and crafts also, they wanted the inside because it was air conditioned and it did protect their display. But it was big. It was big. And we used to have a small, like a little carnival like there, small rides, you know, for kids, a little merry-go-round and swings and different things.
Right.
There's so many different things.
Yeah.
And the park was full.
Yeah.
And it was a good place.
Do you have a favorite parade?
Well, they're all my favorites, I guess. Yeah. I think the time you put into them, there's always something special about each parade. The involvement and these union people, excuse me, that enter these floats. Mary, they put so much time and they spend money on those floats. And some of them just stick with you. They just stand with you forever. And they cooperate so much. I love them all.
Any particular floats through the years you really liked?
Well, yes, I liked Local 816.
Of course.
And then I liked out Hicks. What was that? Wycliffe.
Yeah, it was Steelworkers.
Yes, Steelworkers.
Yeah.
They are elaborate.
They are.
They are elaborate, and they are big contributors to the cost. Yes, they do.
I remember one of them one year was in the shape of a giant toolbox.
I know it. And
that's very clever.
Yes, and a lot of them carry little handmade toolboxes.
Right.
They do.
And of course, they're throwing the candy around.
Yes.
I guess my fondest memory of a Labor Day parade is when our son was about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old. We came to Labor Day parade, and I had a baseball cap, and he said, "Dad, I want your cap to fill it with candy." And he did. And I still have a photograph of him holding that hat overflowing with candy. That's a big part of it. Kids love to do that.
Oh, it is. And it would amaze you if you were down there when we're lining this parade up, that some of these locals, way they put boxes of bubble gum and candy. There's no end what they spend on candy. And
right, that stuff's expensive
There's no
nowadays.
end to it because they have to spend a lot of money.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But that makes it fun.
Oh, they love it. They come down there with their plastic bags and
little kid, yeah.
Yes, they enjoy it.
Yeah. And of course the politicians find it handy to work the crowd as they walk along.
Well, that's always good.
Yeah.
That's always good.
And go ahead.
I was going to say this is not a big year, political year.
I was going to ask you, you know, some years, now last year obviously you had the presidential election and you had the senatorial race. And, absolutely. And so what do you do to generate interest in off years?
That's what I was going to tell you. As we say, it's not a political year, but we'll still be sending letters out to our local people, and we hope we can get enough out there and have them come out there and speak. That's what we want them to do. Bring them out there and keep them before the public and have a question and an answer session. That's what we want to do this year.
A lot of times they do come in the off years.
Oh,
not
they
as many,
do.
obviously.
Yeah. We have from Frankfurt.
Oh, yeah, the governor comes often.
Yeah, he does. And, of course, Louisville.
Yeah.
They come in. They always have a big parade, big float. So, and I know that's costly from there to Paducah to enter and all that. Of course, we don't charge any entry fee. A lot of parades charge an entry fee, but we have never done that. We've kind of discouraged it, really.
Yeah.
They spend enough money.
Right, right. Now the floats, of course, are built. How far in advance they build these floats?
Some of them build them about a month ahead. That depends if they've got a shed to build them in, you know, because of the weather. Some of them come down there at the hall, are a local, and build outside.
And I think I remember hearing about some of those float building. People, they bring food and have lunch, and it's sort of like a festival. It's an all-day affair.
We have always done that. They build down there. We have a potluck in the hall, and they come in there and sit down and yes, and that, we enjoy it. We enjoy it.
Oh, sure, absolutely. And again, volunteers are desperately needed.
Yes, very. They are.
Because we're all getting older, and it's and I've seen the number of volunteers dwindle down through the years, and this can't be done without volunteers. And look at how you did it. You just simply saw this parade and thought, "Wow, this is terrific. I'd like to volunteer."
It was. And it still is.
And maybe we can hope that somebody will be standing on a curb or sitting in a chair this time and think, "I'd like to help with this." You mentioned entertainment a little while ago. In the time we have left, what were your favorite bands, the best bands you've seen?
Well, I think one was a railroad.
Confederate Railroad?
Confederate Railroad, right. I will never forget that year, Barry, never. There was so many people there and so many cars. The state patrol came in there and directed traffic. The state patrol out of Mayfield. It was something else. They came from everywhere. That was one of the best that I think we've ever had.
That was back during Glenn Dowdy's day, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
I remember that was a pretty well-known group. That they,
oh yes.
That they brought in.
And of course, entertainment now. You get a big group now. They're expensive, but back then when we paid them, it doesn't seem like anything compared to what we have to pay now.
Right. So, how far in advance do you have to book these bands?
If you're trying to get a knowing band, right now you need to be talking to them. We're talking to, of course, this is local, Luchaton.
Right.
We'd like to get him back because a lot of people, and then we'd like to get this Warren, Darren Warren that we had last year. He's a cancer survivor, and he donates a lot. Of course, now we paid him, but he donates a lot of his time for cancer drives. And then Jeff had another one in mind, but he was going to talk to him and see.
In the time we have left, what is the theme of this year's parade?
Keep American people working, buy and use American.
Well, we're out of time. Thank you again for being with us. My guest today was Frrancis Willey, the 2009 W.C. Young Award winner. I'm Barry Craig. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.